Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. We're going to be talking about how to write SEO optimized blog copy that brings traffic to your website. I'm Laura Bean and this is Creative Little World. As always, I like to start things off with a riddle just to get that creative mind working. So here's today's riddle for you. What word describing a job title has 3 consecutive double letters? Have a think on that and I'll tell you the answer at the end. Okay guys, the first thing you want to do is think about the content that you're going to write for your blog. You don't just want to throw anything out there. It's got to be helpful and serve a purpose to the reader. It can be informative, educational, it can be funny, but it's got to serve a purpose. So firstly, you want to think about and research the type of content you want to put on your blog. To do this, you want to research what your target audience are looking for and what questions they are asking. There are a few simple ways to do this that are free. Go to a website called Answer the Public. In here, type in the search term that you're thinking about crafting your blog about. This is going to give you loads of suggested questions that your audience is searching for. Use these to craft the ideas for your blog post. You could also use Google Keyword Planner. This is a really helpful tool for looking at those keywords that are ranking in Google and that are being searched for. The key here is to find the terms that have a relatively large amount of searches but are low in competition. It's the low-hanging fruit that's really good to go for here. So if you can find a term that gets a relatively large amount of searches a month, when you look at the competition for it, it's actually quite low. This is the low-hanging fruit. So these are the terms that you want to try and filter into your blog content. Research is a really important part of creating any blog because there is no point putting a blog out there that isn't helpful to your audience. You're wasting time and Google aren't going to favour you for it. You could also use AIs for this task. You could ask ChatGPT to suggest some titles for you for your blog. Now, this is great and it will give you a lot of ideas, but what I will stress is to tie this into your keyword research, because chat won't necessarily give you keywords based on their search volume. It will give you ideas. Make sure you tie that into your research so you can get really effective blog content ideas. Okay, now you've got an idea of the keywords you want to use for your blog. You've managed to get a title idea from this as well. The first thing to do is create an outline for your blog. So to start with, you want a really strong title. This is what's going to hook the reader in. Strong titles quite often have terms like how to or the top 10, things like this that intrigue the reader and make them want to read more. Remember, your blog is solving a problem for them or it's giving them information. So tie into the title what they're going to get out of reading your blog. Remember, your blog is there to educate and inform. So make sure you've got the subject matter in the title. Next, you want to get subheadings throughout your blog. What this does is it makes it more eye-catching. It helps the reader navigate the content and go to specifically the area they want to read. It helps with skim readers, and let's face it, with our short attention spans, most of us are. So it helps us continue throughout the blog. It gives us a reason to read on. Another great thing about having your subheadings prepared is it's going to help you with fueling the content ideas for when you're writing. I like to have this all mapped out at the beginning of my blogs because it means I can break down each section and get the information that I need and do the research for those particular areas. It also makes it a little less daunting if you're new to blogging and you're about to tackle 1,000, 2,000 word blog post. You're breaking it down into sections so that's easier on yourself as well. Okay, now we're getting on to writing the content. You've already broken down your blog post into sections, so tackle each one of these at a time, but make sure it flows. The whole thing is a story leading from one bit to the next. So don't jump around too much. Make sure it's in a order that makes sense. Write your copy in tone with your brand. This is your voice coming through, or the voice of the businesses. So don't be afraid to keep it in keeping with your own tone. Don't forget though that you are writing for your audience. which means you need to use language that they'll understand. Try not to use too much jargon. If you are doing an educational piece, then make sure you explain this as you go. Don't assume your audience know what you're talking about, so make sure you're not using language that's going to confuse them. Make sure everything in this blog has value. You might be trying to hit a word count, but make sure everything you're adding to it is useful and helpful and not just there to fluff out the content. If you produce content that is just waffle and not of interest to anyone, the danger is your audience are going to quickly leave the page and Google's going to see your blog post isn't actually helpful. So that's when you get marked down. As you're writing your blog, think about the format. So by that I mean use bold text, use italic text, use bullet points. If you bullet point key points, then it's going to stand out to the reader better. This also makes it much easier for them to read. Break your text down into paragraphs. Make these easy to read. 2 or 3 lines at a time is absolutely fine. Don't be afraid to put white space between things. It makes it easier on the eye and it makes it less daunting for the reader. They're more likely to carry on if they're not overwhelmed by big chunks of text. Lastly, use images. Images are also really helpful here. So feel free to scatter some throughout the copy. Make them relevant to the blog post. Don't just put random photos in. They've got to be in keeping with what you're telling the reader. Okay, so by this point, you should have a nicely crafted blog post. You've got your headline, you've got your subheadings throughout, you've got your copy that's written in a clear and concise way. You've broken it up with bullet points, nice bold text, easy to read and helpful to your audience. Next, you want to make sure the content is optimized for SEO. So this is the bit that's really going to help your website get more traffic. The key word that you've identified for this blog is what's important here. This should be in the heading of your blog, in the title, and ideally as close to the front of that headline as possible. You next want to include it in the opening paragraph of your blog. Again, this is showing that this is what the content is about. It helps to have this throughout the blog as well, but you don't want to overstuff it. If you're using WordPress, for example, then there's a really good free plugin called Yoast. This will help you optimize the blog post for SEO. This will tell you if you've overstuffed the keywords or you haven't managed it enough. You'll enter the keyword into Yoast and it'll tell you how well you've optimized the page. Make sure your images are also optimized for keywords. Have the keywords in the file name of the photo. This really helps. Alt tags are also great and you should use them anyway to help with the accessibility of your website. Now the alt tag should describe what the photo is. You can get the keyword in here as well. Just make sure it also describes what the photo is and you're not simply using it to stuff a keyword in. Make sure it makes sense. Lastly, when you are uploading to your website, make sure it's mobile friendly. Give it a check. Does it appear okay on your mobile? Search engines will penalise websites that aren't using mobile friendly content, and you'll probably find a lot of your audience will be coming via mobile. So just check it before you publish that it's good for mobile use. The last thing to do is to give it an edit and a proofread. Use a spell check. It can be quite common that these are set to either UK English or US, so make sure you're in the right language for your audience. Next, you could use a grammar app. I like Grammarly personally, and this helps pull up any grammar issues. Your blog doesn't have to be perfect, and there is some artistic license when writing, but if grammar isn't your strong point, then it is worth running it through an app like Grammarly. Lastly, my tip for proofreading is to get your computer to read it back to you. If you're using Google Docs, there is an extension called Read Aloud. Now, I use this all the time and I get it to read back my copy. Spell checkers and grammar checkers are great, but they don't necessarily pick up everything. If you can get the computer to read your copy back to you, it helps identify any mistakes that the other tools may have missed. Okay, so that's everything. Once you've got all that uploaded, publish it to your blog, and there you have it. A well-optimized blog post that is going to rank you well in Google. There are, of course, lots of other ways to help get your blog noticed and ranking highly in Google, but I'm going to save some of those tips for another time. Okay, at the beginning of this video, I asked you a riddle. The question was, what word describing a job title has 3 consecutive double letters? Did you get it? The answer is a bookkeeper. I have to admit, I found that one a bit tricky myself. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more helpful content coming your way soon. If you have any questions about anything in this video or have any suggestions on what you'd like me to focus on next, please drop a comment below. Thanks again. I'll see you next time.